Incidental contact. Article 1. All contact shall not constitute a foul. When 10 players move rapidly in a limited area, some contact is certain to occur. Incidental contact shall be contact with an opponent that is permitted and does not constitute a foul. Article 2. Contact that is incidental to an effort by an opponent to reach a loose ball, or contact that results when opponents are in equally favorable positions to perform normal defensive or offensive movement, should be permitted even though the contact may be severe. Article 3. Contact that does not hinder the opponent from participating in normal defensive or offensive movements should be considered incidental. Article 4. A player who is screened within her visual field shall be expected to avoid contact with the screener by stopping or avoiding the screener. Article 5. A player who is screened outside her visual field may make inadvertent contact with the screener. Such contact shall be incidental, provided that the screener is not displaced when she has the ball. Article 6. When a player approaches an opponent from behind or a position from which the player has no reasonable chance to play the ball without making contact with the opponent, the player in the unfavorable position is responsible for any contact.
Okay, so this is the principle of verticality. Verticality applies to a legal position. The basic components of the principle of verticality are: legal position must be established and attained initially, and movement thereafter must be legal. From such position, the defender may rise or jump vertically and occupy the space within her vertical plane. The hands and arms of the defender must be raised within her vertical plane while the defender is on the playing court or in the air. The defender shall not be penalized for leaving the playing court vertically or having her hands and arms extended within the vertical plane. The offensive player, whether on the playing court or airborne, shall not clear out or cause contact that is not incidental. The defender may not belly up or use the lower part of the body or arms to cause contact outside her vertical plane. The player with the ball shall be given no more protection or consideration than the defender, in the judging of which, if either player has violated the principle of verticality.
The principles of guarding. Guarding is the act of legally placing the body in the path of an offensive opponent. The guarding position shall be initially established and then maintained in bounds on the playing court. There is no minimum distance required between the guard and the opponent. However, the maximum distance to be considered closely guarded is 6 feet. This distance shall be measured from the forward foot or feet of the defender to the forward foot or feet of the opponent. These distances shall apply only when a player in the front court is holding the ball. Every player shall be entitled to a spot on the playing court, provided that such player gets there first without illegally contacting an opponent. To establish an initial legal guarding position on the player with the ball, the guard shall have both feet touching the playing court. When the guard jumps into position initially, both feet must return to the playing court after the jump for the guard to establish a legal guarding position. The guard's torso shall face the opponent. No time and distance shall be required. When the opponent with the ball is airborne, the guard shall have established legal guarding position before the opponent left the playing court. To establish legal guarding position on a player without the ball, time and distance shall be required to establish an initial legal guarding position. The guard shall give the opponent enough time and distance to avoid contact. The distance given by the opponent of the player without the ball need not to be more than 2 strides. And when the opponent is airborne, the guard shall have established legal guarding position before the opponent left the playing court. To maintain a legal guarding position after the initial position has been established, the guard is not required to continue having the torso face the opponent, cannot have either foot out of bounds, may raise the hands or may jump within her own vertical plane, may shift to maintain guarding position in the path of the dribbler, provided that the guard does not charge into the dribbler or otherwise cause contact to move into the path of the airborne player. may move laterally or obliquely to maintain position, provided such a move is not toward the opponent when the contact occurs. It is not required to have the feet on the playing court when shifting in the path of the dribbler or when moving laterally or obliquely, and may turn or duck to absorb shock when the contact by the dribbler is imminent. In such case, the dribbler shall not be absolved from the responsibility of contact. A secondary defender cannot establish initial legal guarding position in the restricted area for the purposes of drawing an offensive foul / charge on a player who is in control of the ball, dribbling or shooting, who has released the ball for a pass or try for goal when the offensive player with the ball is located outside the lower defense box, when she starts her move to the basket. When illegal contact occurs within the restricted area, such contact shall be ruled a blocking foul unless the contact is an intentional or disqualifying foul. Exception: when the offensive player leads with the foot or unnatural extended knee or wards off with the arm. The restriction shall not prohibit a defender located within the restricted area from attempting to block a shot.
Screen. Number 1. A legal screen is action by any player, offensive or defensive, with or without the ball, which without causing contact, delays or prevents an opponent from reaching a desired position. Number 2. In establishing and maintaining legal screening tactics, the screener shall A. Stay within her vertical plane with a stance in which the inside of the screener's feet are no wider than shoulder width apart. The screener shall not lean into the path of an opponent or extend her hips into that path, even though the feet are stationary. B. Not be required to face in any particular direction at any time. And C. Be in bounds. Number 3. A player shall not A. Cause contact by setting a screen outside of the visual field of a stationary opponent that does not allow this opponent a normal step to move. B. Make contact with the opponent when setting a screen within the visual field of that opponent. And C. Take a position so close to a moving opponent that this opponent cannot avoid contact by stopping or changing direction. Number 4. No player, while moving, shall set a screen that causes contact and delays an opponent from reaching a desired position. Number 5. When both opponents are moving in exactly the same path and direction, and the screener slows down or stops and contact results, the trailing player shall be responsible for that contact. 6. No player shall use her arm or arms, hand or hands, hip or hips, or shoulder or shoulders to force through a screen or to hold or push the screener. Number 7. Screeners shall not line up next to each other within 6 feet of a boundary line and parallel to it so that contact occurs. 7A. Screeners shall be permitted to line up parallel to the boundary line and next to each other without locking arms or grasping each other, provided that such screen is set at least 6 feet from that boundary line.
Post play. Definition. A post player is defined in Rule 4-23 as any offensive or defensive player in the lane area with or without the ball with her back to the basket. The lane area includes 3-second lane, see Rule 9-9, and approximately 3 feet just outside the lane, An offensive post player becomes a ball handler when, while in the lane area, she turns and faces the basket with the ball or moves completely outside the lane area with the ball. Legal activity. Before the offensive post player has control of the ball, it is legal for a defensive player to place one or two body parts, hands or arm bars, on the offensive post player, provided no holding, displacing, or illegal contact occurs. Legal contact occurs when offensive and defensive players are touching and both are maintaining a legally established position. However, when any legal contact occurs between post players to maintain a position, an official's awareness should be heightened and they should be prepared to rule a foul when the contact becomes illegal. When the offensive post player with her back to the basket is in control of the ball, holding or dribbling, the defensive post player may place a forearm away from the body or one hand on the offensive player. When the defensive post player places one hand on the offensive post player, the defensive post player's arm must have a bend in the elbow. Illegal contact. Guidelines to officials in making correct, consistent rulings in the post area. 1. Observe the entire play, especially when responsible for off-ball coverage. 2. A foul shall be ruled when a legally established armbar is extended and displaces an opponent. 3. A foul shall be ruled when displacement occurs from a locked and/or extended elbow. 4. A foul shall be ruled when a defensive player pushes a leg or knee into the rear of an opponent, or extends her foot or leg into the vertical space of the opponent to hold, displace, or otherwise inhibit the movement of the offensive post player without the ball. 5. A foul shall be ruled when a defensive post player contacts an offensive post player in control of the ball with her body, torso, leg, or knee. 6. A foul shall be ruled when a defensive post player does not immediately assume a legal position once the offensive post player gains control of the ball. 7. A foul shall be ruled the first time an offensive or defensive post player displaces a legally established player by pushing or backing down. 8. A foul shall be ruled when the offensive post player pushes, holds, hooks, or displaces the leg or body of the defender. 9. A foul shall be ruled when a player uses a swim stroke arm movement to lower the arm of an opponent. 10. A foul shall be ruled when a post player uses hands, forearms, or elbows to prevent an opponent from maintaining a legally established position. 11. A double foul shall be ruled when the opposing post players are both engaged in illegal contact. Post play.
Cutting principles. Legal activity. If the defender beats the cutter to the spot, the defender's position is legal. The cutter is responsible for contact. Illegal activity. A foul shall be called when 1. The cutter is held with the hands, body, or armbar. 2. The cutter is pushed with the hand, body, or armbar off her intended path. 3. The cutter initiates contact and pushes and holds the defender in any way. 4. Holding, pushing, or displacement occur either by the offense or defense.
Rule 4, Section 24, Rebound. Article 1. A rebound occurs when a player secures control of the ball after a try for goal. Article 2. To establish or maintain legal rebound position, a player shall not A. displace, charge, or push an opponent, B. extend either or both shoulders, hips, or knees, or extend either or both arms or elbows fully or partially in a position other than vertical so that the freedom of movement of an opponent is hindered when contact with any of these body parts occurs. C. Bend her body in an abnormal position to hold or displace an opponent. D. Violate the principle of verticality. Article 3. Every player shall be entitled to a spot on the playing court, provided that such player gets there first without illegally contacting an opponent. Exception. Rule 10, 4, 7.